Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a very specific, incredibly common, and, let's be honest, super frustrating issue. We are talking about the absolute chaos of beginner React and Vite folder structures. If your VS Code workspace is starting to feel like an endless maze after you made the jump to modern web frameworks, well, you are definitely in the right place, because we're going to fix it permanently.
So let's start by validating a shared frustration here. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those rogue node_modules folders just hiding everywhere like unwanted Easter eggs. Maybe you've opened a project only to find multiple SRC folders staring back at you. Or you suddenly realize you've somehow nested a completely different project inside your current one. And honestly, this isn't just visually disorienting. It has massive technical consequences. A nested nightmare like this totally confuses your code editor, it absolutely ruins your Git repositories by misaligning all your tracking, and it creates this unreadable mess that can literally slow your entire system down to a crawl.
Section 1, the messy folder problem, and how things get out of hand. To really fix this, we need to understand the root of the problem, which actually stems from a major shift in how we work. Think back to the simple HTML days. Things were just wonderfully straightforward, weren't they? We just created flat, isolated folders for each standalone project and called it a day. But then we transitioned into the React chaos days, and things get complicated. What happens is, beginners often accidentally run build commands inside their existing project folders instead of their root directories. And boom, you end up with this accidental Russian nesting doll situation. You have an old project, which contains a React app, which somehow contains another React app. And that right there is exactly what destroys your workspace and breaks your file paths.
Section 2, the master folder solution, building a solid foundation.
Okay, so how do we fix this mess? Well, the solution is a completely new but remarkably simple architectural approach. It's a three-step process. First, you need to establish one main primary root folder on your computer. Let's just call it coding. Next, inside that main folder, you create subfolders that are totally dedicated to specific technologies, like a React folder. Finally, step 3, inside that technology folder, you create completely separate isolated folders for every single application you build. So your to-do app, your weather app, your Redux app, they all get their own distinct space. By building this logical hierarchy, you guarantee that every single project remains completely isolated, completely safe, and entirely decoupled from the others.
Section 3, creating Vite projects safely, running commands in the right place.
Now that our structure is locked in, we have to talk about the actual procedure for spinning up new apps. And there is one absolutely critical, non-negotiable rule you must follow. Always, always make sure you are inside a clean folder before running any build commands. Whenever you're about to spin up a new Vite project, just pause. Take a second to check your terminal path. Use your command line print working directory tools, or just look really closely at the prompt. Because running a creation command inside an existing project folder is what instantly triggers that nested chaos we talked about earlier. It spawns duplicate package files and deeply, deeply broken dependencies. So, once you've double-checked and verified you are safely inside your clean target folder, like that React master folder we just built, you can confidently run your command, specifically npm create Vite at latest to-do app. Running this exact command from a totally clean directory guarantees your brand new project is scaffolded perfectly alongside your others without tangling up your broader workspace. It seems like a simple command, but remember, context is absolutely everything. Location matters.
Section 4, a better VS Code workflow, keeping your sidebar clean.
You know, folder structure is really only half the battle here. How you actually open these folders within VS Code matters just as much. A really common workflow trap is giving in to the temptation to open your entire root coding folder all at once. Don't do it. Doing that massively clutters your sidebar and forces VS Code to index literally every technology, package, and project you've ever touched. That completely bogs down your global search and totally breaks your IntelliSense. So the pro tip here? Always use File, then Open Folder, and select only the specific project you are actively working on right then. It isolates your workspace, keeps it lightning fast, and ensures your search results are actually relevant to your current task.
Section 5, pro tips for beginners, maintaining hygiene and improving skills.
Let's wrap up with a few rapid-fire best practices to maintain this shiny new workspace of yours. Adopting these 4 habits is pretty much essential. First, keep your tutorial and lesson projects entirely separate from your actual portfolio builds. You do not want those getting mixed up. Second, please don't be a digital hoarder.
Delete those old test folders you no longer use. It honestly frees up so much mental space. Third, name your folders clearly and descriptively. And finally, the most crucial habit, rebuild projects for practice. Once you finish a tutorial, set up a brand new clean folder and try rebuilding the application from scratch by yourself. It is without a doubt one of the absolute best ways to rapidly level up your skills.
Listen, if your files have been a completely tangled disaster up until now, do not worry. Seriously, creating a messy file tree is practically a developer rite of passage when you first encounter modern build tools. Every single developer has made this exact mistake at some point. It's almost guaranteed. But the really great news is, you now have the structural blueprint to avoid it entirely and organize your code like a total professional.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought. Now that your workspace is finally clean, properly structured, and expertly optimized, what incredible project are you going to build next? You've got the clean slate, you've got the solid foundation. It is time to get out there and write some amazing code. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Get out there and build something awesome. Happy coding.